Excellent. If you want to play along and get the handout, I'll put this QR code up later if you decide you don't want it now. But this will bring you to my burnout quiz, too, that we're going to all do together. So we're going to see if y'all burnt out today. But I'll put this up a couple other times, so if you don't get it at this moment, don't worry. The QR code will keep coming up. Sorry. All right, so I'm Colleen DelVecchio. Today I am talking about burnout. I am not a tech person. I always say I'm not one. I kind of live the life a little bit. I'm married to one. My husband owned an MSP for the last 30 years and sold it a year ago, which afforded us to send both of our children to really expensive colleges. So if you have a great exit strategy and you think it's going to be retirement, don't do that your kid's senior year of college when you have to fill out financial aid forms. Really good tip. If you learn nothing today, bring that one home with you. So this is me walking over crocodiles. It is the Disney version of walking over crocodiles. So it is very safe because I am not a risk taker. So it's really important to know that about me. But some random facts about me. I forced my family to be a Disney family. That's us on Rock and Roller Coaster many years ago as well. I do Clifton Strengths training. Has anyone here ever done the Gallup Clifton Strengths assessment? Yay! I'm always excited when people know this. We'll talk a little bit about that later, but these are kind of my engineers that I did last year, everyone holding their top strengths, so knowing what your strengths is. Other weird things about me, I'm wildly lucky about getting concert tickets. I'm one of the few people who won like the Ticketmaster Taylor Swift lottery and managed to get tickets 3 rows off the floor right next to the VIP tent for Taylor Swift this year. And the bottom picture there is a picture of Tom Brady that my 12-year-old, 7 years ago, took at training camp because I managed to convince the Patriots to let my 12-year-old be a photographer during training camp and use their $23,000 cameras that year. So you want to talk about people who can connect themselves? Thank you. It was like my proud mom moment. Right? Really what I do in life is I connect people, and my passion these days is helping people to not be so burnt out. I was a big proponent of this pre-COVID, and I feel like post-COVID, we kind of jumped off the cliff in burnout. So that's what we're talking about today. So really, what is burnout, right? So the World Health Organization actually jumped in on this about 2 years ago because they kept seeing it as such an issue. And they actually added in their international classification of diseases, and they call it an occupation phenomenon. Right? So the Mayo Clinic started defining it as a very special, which I think is really funny that they call it special, right? It's a special type of work-related stress, and it's a physical or emotional exhaustion that involves a sense of reduced accomplishment and loss of personal identity. But really, to me, why I'm so passionate about burnout is it has a ripple effect, right? It's not like you can be burnt out at work and then it doesn't affect you in the rest of your life. Right? I don't know too many people who can walk out of work after being so burnt out and exhausted and walk in the door and be lovely and pleasant to the people you live with. I think back, it was probably 15 years ago or so, and I was at a job that I was totally burnt out. I was a single parent to a 4-year-old, and my dog had put me over the edge. I remember calling my ex-husband and begging him to take the dog. Now, I had a dog who literally was the most chill dog ever. I fed him twice a day. He had an electric fence. I would open the door. He'd go out on his own. I didn't have to walk the dog. But the idea of like putting food in his bowl was the thing that was putting me over the edge, right? The level of stress. Now I'm so glad he said no. He was living in a condo and couldn't take my dog, right? And Wilson lived a great life. But right, we can't do that. So to me, when I talk to people about burnout, it's not just because of work, right? Yeah, I'm concerned about your days, but I also know that this affects every aspect of your life. So, top 5 causes of burnout. This is Gallup, who, like I said before, I'm a Gallup certified coach, so I do a lot of work with Gallup data. So Gallup has figured out these are the 5 things that make people burnt out at work. Unfair treatment, or really, truly, it's the perception of unfair treatment at work. Unmanageable workload, unclear communication from your manager, lack of manager support, and unreasonable time pressure. meaning people are assigning you things that can't possibly be done in the amount of time that they're asking you to. So then the Mayo Clinic, right, another really good place, right, who kind of talked about, they've started doing all this research on burnout, and they found these are kind of their 6 things that they think causes burnout. Lack of control over your decisions at work every day, dysfunctional workplace dynamics, unclear job expectations from your manager, lack of social support, extremes of activity. I find this is so prevalent these days where it's like you have times where you're like really crazy busy and then it slows down a little and really crazy busy. And we used to think that that cycle was good for people. They're finding it's actually really bad for us because when you're in the downtime, all you're doing is worrying about when things are going to pick up again. And some work-life imbalance. So there's 11 causes of burnout there. How many people here have at least one of those in their life? All right, hopefully we'll cure all of that in, I think, 40 minutes today. Excellent. It's pretty easy. All right, so I'm going to talk about 5 things that you can do. And we're going to kind of go through all of these as we kind of talk today. So the first one is kind of acknowledging that you are burnt out. You have to kind of put a finger on it and be like, this is it, I'm there. So I have these 10 questions that I ask people. So there's that QR code again if you missed it before and you want to actually have the PDF of this. I have people figure out, right, scale of 1 to 5, how do you feel about these things? Are you feeling run down or drained physically or run down or drained emotionally? Right? Are you easily irritated by small problems? Right? Feeding my dog. Right? Literally, I can picture myself standing in that kitchen putting food in the bowl and being like, oh my God, I gotta feed the dog, right? Like 30 seconds, it was like the worst thing that happened that day sometimes. Being easily irritated by your coworkers. I'll also add by your family, your children, your roommate, your dog, right? Are there things that are easily kind of irritating you these days? And you kind of get this feeling and you start questioning, are you in the wrong career, right? Are you in the wrong job? Maybe you're in the wrong industry. Maybe you're working for the wrong company, right? You're getting this feeling. All right, next 5 questions. How often do you feel overwhelmed at work? Are you running out of patience for people? Somebody asks you what you consider to be a stupid question or something they should know, and you're like, boom, right? I have no patience for this. Trouble making decisions. I can distinctly remember a point during COVID that I literally lost my mind in my house. Like it was me, my husband, our kids were either sophomores or juniors in high school, depending on the time. And at one point, I could not make the decision of what to cook for dinner. Right? Coming up with one more answer that day was like putting me over the edge. Right? So are you at the point where you just can't seem to make those decisions? Losing concentration and or having trouble sleeping or relaxing. When I work with people as a coach, one of my first questions is, how many nights a week do you dream about work? And if your answer is more than 2, I'm always like, great, let's find a new job for you. Right? I hear from the chuckles, I assume a lot of you are thinking about this more than having trouble sleeping or dreaming about your job. All right, so then you figure out what's your score. Now, I will say this is not a scientific survey. Like the Mayo Clinic is not going to endorse my version of the burnout survey. There's some real ones out there, but they're like 50 questions long. And when I'm working with people who are burnt out, the last thing they want to do is sit there and do a 50-question quiz on whether or not they're burned out. So this is where I get to. For those of you who added these numbers in your mind, is anyone at the 43 plus? Does someone rank themselves 5 on like all of those questions? Okay, good. Usually then I have to offer my coaching services for free for the next year if somebody raises their hand, but we're good there, right? But thinking about where you land on this, if most of those questions were a 1 for you, you're like, okay, probably not burned out. This is probably just regular work life. You start getting to some 2s, you got some burnout. You get at 3s, you're at risk. You start asking and answering everything with a 4, you're like at severe risk. Like you're at the point where you really need to do something really quickly because it's going to really have an effect on your life. So, right, step 1, acknowledge that you have a problem with burnout. Step 2 for me, when I work with folks, is making sure that people know their Clifton strengths. It's what I work on. I double down on it. I'll tell you why in a minute. This is a link to Clifton Strengths. This is a different QR code than before. So if you haven't done your strengths, it tells you about it. If you want more information about it, always happy to talk to people about this ad nauseum. The book that I like the most from Gallup is this book called Well-Being at Work. Well-Being at Work also has a code in the back of it for you to do your strengths assessment and get your top 5 strengths as opposed to your full 34. But again, happy to always talk about that other times. But your strengths are your lens on the world, right? Your strengths are how you view the world and how you do things differently than other people. So my top strength is maximizer, and people have maximizer strength. We are the people who like to see things that are good and make them better. Which means that last night at 10 o'clock at night, as I was about to go to bed, I said, oh, wait, I should swap out that picture in my deck. And I went on, pulled up my deck and I swapped out a picture, right? Maximizer, it's my curse of perfectionism. But it's the thing that wants me to take things that are good and make them better, which is why I love doing things like this, because I get to change it, right? This is a different slide deck than I used last week when I worked with a biotech company, and different than I used a month ago when I worked with a sneaker company, right? Things are slightly different. Great. Somebody else, their lens on the world might be consistency. So of the 34 strengths, consistency, it's number 34 for me. I am not consistent. I never do things the same way, right? That might be you. And then you're the person who can naturally do things consistently all the time. You do things the same way, the same time, all the time, and you're really good with that. I'm the person who has to have 19 reminders to put a timesheet in, right? It's terrible. I am so bad at doing things the same time, the same way. It's just not in me. So your strengths are kind of how you approach things. So what I always tell folks is when you're doing things that aren't in your strengths, you are spending time and it feels like you're swimming upstream, right? You feel like you're in a slog. I remember having a conversation with my mom years ago and we were talking about vitamins. And my mom hasn't done strengths, but I guarantee consistency is number 1 for her. And probably discipline number 2, right? That's just how she gets through life. And she was like, well, just take your vitamin every morning. And I was like, I try. She's like, well, put it next to your coffee maker and have it every time you have your coffee. I'm like, yep, do that. She's like, put a sticky note on your coffee pot to remind you to have your vitamin. I'm like, yep, got that too. Like, still, take them twice a week, right? Like, I am just not good at being naturally consistent. It's not how I go about things. I like to make things good and better. There's a strength called deliberative. One of the IT teams that I worked with a couple of years ago, their top tech had deliberative as a strength. Deliberative is this phenomenal strength where you are able to spot problems and fix them. Now, the downside of deliberative is if there are no problems for you to spot, do you know what people with deliberative do? They create problems or they find them. Right? And so this was a guy who, if somebody didn't hand him a problem to solve, if there were no problems on his horizon, he would start looking at things and almost purposely break things so he could then fix them. Right? So these are kind of good things to know about people and know about yourself. He does way better when he has a problem to solve. So why I like strengths? Gallup has found that people are 6 times as likely to be engaged in their jobs when they do jobs that actually align with their strengths, that they can put their strengths at. What I think is really important is that people who use their strengths every day say they have 3 times an excellent quality of life throughout their life when they get to use these every day, which ties right to this burnout thing. Because your burnout isn't just at work. Same thing with strengths. If you're using your strengths at work, you'll find you'll use them in the rest of your life, and things just kind of flow easier for you. People who focus on their strengths also have 57% less burnout and have 81% lower absenteeism, with absenteeism being unexpected days off, like not planned vacation. Because why do most people call out sick? Not you personally, but like why do your coworkers call out sick? They hate their job, right? They're exhausted, they're burnt out. Right? I probably took more mental health days than I did physical health days when I've called out sick. Well, when people have jobs that actually align with their strengths, they're not calling out sick as much. They're showing up to work because work works. Like work is where things are in flow and work feels good for them. The other thing that strengths does is it sets you up for work that energizes you. So when I'm working with people individually, I always tell them to keep track over the course of a week. What are the things that energized you and what are the things that drained you? And by this, I mean, what are the things you do and at the end of the day, you're like, wow, I can't wait to do that again, right? This was awesome. I really liked that. So I think of me being up on stage today. Like, I probably won't sleep tonight because I'm going to be still like full of energy for this. I love talking to groups. The bigger, the better, right? Put me in front of 3,000 people, happy as can be. Make me work with a team of 10, love those days, right? I love doing this. I have a coworker in a past job who we presented at a conference once. The minute we were done, I was like, okay, right, out talking to people, let's go out to dinner, gathering groups, we're all hanging out. The minute we were done, my coworker went to her hotel room, shut the door, and didn't leave till the next morning, right? It exhausted her. She was like, if she had to do this every day, she would be a miserable human being. So think about what energizes you, right? What are the things that you do that you love, and how do you do more of that? Because quite often when we're burnt out, it's not because we're doing too much. It's because we're doing too much of the wrong things, right? If you told me I could stand on stage here and I could do this for 60 hours a week all day, I'd be like, sign me up, I'm there, right? I'm happy to do this. I don't mind hopping on planes, I don't mind traveling when this is where it comes to. Put me sitting at a desk all day, like if I had to sit at a desk with 3 computer screens and type all day, I'd be miserable, right? Those are the days that I'm not really happy. So thinking about for yourself, kind of how does that align? Because most likely the days that are energizing you are the things that you're able to kind of lean into your strengths, is where it kind of ties back to. All right, so next thing to do if you're starting to feel burnt out is talk to your boss, talk to your family, like talk to where the burnout's coming from and have a conversation. But before you do that, figure out what you need to help with the situation and actually ask for it. Right? Now, are there times that you might not be able to do that? Sure. But I feel like most employers these days will figure out a way to make things work for you. Now, if it's really that bad, I also have had employers or people that I've coached out of out of one place into another because it just didn't work for them. Right? I think about different phases of your life and what you need in your career, right? When my kids are both sophomores in college right now, and so I can go anywhere, do anything, it doesn't matter. They're both living their lives in other places. When they were 6 and 7, it was a lot different, right? One went to a school that got out at 4:15, one went to a school that was 8 to 4:15. Like, thank you finally for an occasional school that has somewhat working hours for parents, right? As opposed to the other schools of the world that are like 9:30 to 2:45, and every other Wednesday we have a half day, and then we have teacher conferences 4 times a year where the kids don't come to school for a week. Right? Doesn't work. Like, there was a different level of flexibility that we needed as parents during some of those years. And then there are times that, right, the flexibility didn't matter as much, that other things mattered. If you're one of those folks who were laughing at those original lists and, right, better communication, not knowing what you need to do from your manager, right, have those conversations. I think of office space, right? I am not someone who can work in a room with 8 other people. In my 20s, I worked for Boston Children's Hospital, and at one point there were 6 of us who shared one office space, and we were all trainers. This is what we did for a living. We talk too much for a living, and you put all 6 of us in a room together. When we first moved to that space, we got no work done, nothing, right? Because all we did was talk to each other all day long. We finally got to the point that back then we started doing, okay, 2 people work from home every single day. Like, everyone in on Wednesday and everyone else picked 2 days a week to work from home so you could actually get work done and not just be talking all the time, right? But think about what makes sense for you. The other one that I always bring up this time of year too is professional development funds. If you have like a set amount of professional development money from your company and it runs out December 31st, think about how you can use those now. Like, are there books that you can get? Can you get coaching? A lot of my coaching clients pay me through their professional development funds. Can you figure out a way to kind of take an online class? One company that I work with actually decided to buy all of their employees. They're like a 40-person startup. Everyone got Insight Timer, like the meditation app, at the end of last year when they realized they had a bulk of their professional development money set aside. right? Now, I know not everyone on that team is every morning turning on their meditation app, but it was almost a signal from the company that they care about this, right? Regardless of whether or not you use the $50 a year subscription or not, it was a signal that said, we care about you. So kind of thinking about different ways that you can tap into that money. All right, so the next thing to do to limit your burnout is learn to say no. Figure out how you say no. Get your line on how you say no and master it, right? Because every time you say no, every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else, right? You decide you want to be on the board of your kids' Little League, you're now saying no to all those meetings, what you would have done then, if it was going out to dinner or sleeping, right? Every time you say yes to a project at work, you have to say no to something else. There is a finite amount of time, right? It's not like you can extend the day by 3 hours just because you got another project. So think about what you can do to say no. For me, I used to always say, that's really interesting. I'll let you know tomorrow. I became the master at saying that. Like, that is the line. I don't care if somebody says, like, do you want to join a board? Or can you plan this event for us? Or can you come do this training? My answer is always, that's interesting. I'll let you know tomorrow. Right? Get a line that you're comfortable enough saying so you can step back and look at, okay, if I say yes to this, what do I have to say no to? If you're struggling with this at work, I always love the my priority is version of this, which is right now my priority is to roll this XYZ thing out by next Friday. If I take this on, I can't get that done also, right? Both of these things can't both happen. So either I need to say no to this or we need to extend the timeline for what I'm working on now, right? But if you get really comfortable having these conversations, it'll start to flow and feel a lot better. Because how do you get rewarded if you're a really good employee? More work, right? Right? You all have that person in your office, I'm sure, who does like 3 hours a week of work and you're all not quite sure what they do because they don't quite do anything well. And you're like, wait a second, they're getting paid the same as I'm getting paid. They're working 40 hours and I'm working 60. Like, why is this happening, right? The better you are at your job, the more work they give you. Right? There's a saying out there that says you want something done, give it to a busy person, right? We punish you for being successful in your jobs. So having one of these lines that you can say will kind of help you with that. The other thing that I'll drop in there is that burnout really tends to meet us when we're moving too fast for too long. And I see this so much. How many of you all work for a startup, like an under a 40-person company? Right? They are probably my bread and butter when I do this work because folks in startups are burnt out, right? They are moving too fast for too long, right? You're constantly trying to pivot, you're constantly trying to do this work, and it's like there's just so much that you can do before you kind of fall off the burnout cliff. So thinking about what are the things that you can do to kind of take a break? What are the things that you can do to kind of disconnect? Now, is it going on vacation? Like, there's another one of my favorite Disney pictures, because if you look at the picture of us on the ride, the person in the bottom right corner who's like eyes bleeding, this is on the Frozen ride. We were a group of like 15 adults and one child, and the child, as we got on, yelled, "Everybody please sing, this is my favorite ride." So all 15 of us belted out Frozen songs at the top of our lungs. Somebody did not enjoy it. Right? But think about, what are you doing, right? What is that moment that it's too much? You're moving too fast. And can it be as simple as taking a coffee break, right? Can it be as simple as stopping for lunch every day, right? And these are things that I say, and some people are like, absolutely not, right? How many of you actually stop and step away from your desk for a half hour to an hour every day for lunch? Oh, you are my favorite people. Everybody look around, applaud these people. They are like, right? Because you know what, the rest of us, I was victim to this too. I sat at my desk 90% of the time trying to eat my lunch and do 6 things, right? Because the rest of us, we didn't get any gold medals at the end of the day. We didn't get a higher paycheck because we worked through lunch. And I guarantee that when you stop, if you can even get outside, even better, right? To step away from a problem is going to help solve it. How many people have gone on vacation, come back, and their building and their business was still standing? Right? Like, these things don't happen. Things don't fall apart as quickly as we think they do. I remember back in my 20s, I was working in Boston, and my appendix burst, or almost burst. Rushed to the hospital, midnight. This is pre-cell phone days, right? So get to the hospital, use the hospital phone, leave a message for my boss. Great. This is on like a Thursday night, I think. So fast forward the next week on Friday, I call the HR. We were only a team of 50. I call the HR guy, and I was like, hey, Barry, so I've been out for the last week. I'm obviously not going to be in to do my timesheet. Like, is there anything I need to do since I'm out on sick leave? And he said, wait, you haven't been here? I'm like, no, I haven't. He's like, oh, Amy never mentioned anything. Let me go check. He goes down the hall, talks to my boss. She had no idea. Because she had so many voicemails, she took a Post-it note and put it over the red light on her phone so she wouldn't see it. I was not in work for 6 days and nobody noticed. Nobody noticed, right? And when I finally said this and was like devastated, they were like, oh, we just assumed you were doing your job from home this week. Like, nobody checked, nobody cared. And at that point, I was like, holy shit, like I could have been dead in an alley, right? Like things my mother would say growing up. My mother was always like, you could be dead on the side of the road and I didn't know if we didn't call instantly when we got somewhere. This is, of course, pre-cell phone and parents being able to track their children. I know that my kids aren't dead on the side of the road because I can track them if I want to, right? But it's like, you're moving too much. You gotta stop. You have to stop and take a break. All right, yesterday, Pete's talk, he put a slide up that had something about like how many hours people were working on different things in their job. And there was a number in the corner that said something like the average person there was working 41 hours a week. How many people here worked at least 40 hours a week 41 hours a week, I think the slide said. How many people worked at least 41 hours on average? Okay, keep your hands up. How many of these people have worked at least 45 hours a week? 50, 55, 60. I was like, wait, 65. Wait, who am I? Do I have two people standing? 70. Okay, whoever you are, I can't see because of the dying lights. You now get 6 months of free executive coaching with me. I am not shitting you. You can email me and I will put you on my roster because if you are working that much, you need help. Because I want to help you. I want to make sure that you have a life and you don't kill yourself because of your job. Because as I found out, right? Just having my appendix out, nobody knew that I was, not in for 6 days. And this was a job where people loved me. They cried when I left. All right, take a break, step away. Know that great leaders take lunch, great employees take lunch, great leaders take vacations, great employees take vacations, right? You can do this. Now, for those of you who got my postcard, if you didn't get one, there's probably some more around. You have a few choices of what to do with your postcard. On the flip side, you can actually put your address on it if you'd like. I don't actually copy down your address and put it anywhere. You can hand it to me sometime this morning, and I will mail it to you in a month to remind you to be doing some of these things that you should. And I promise you, I don't take any of your information and write it down everywhere. I actually have the 12-year-old who lives next door to me put the stamps on, right? So child labor laws don't exist in my neighborhood, right? You can take this and hang it in front of your computer, hang it on your fridge, put it somewhere where you're going to decide this is some of the things I'm going to do to banish burnout for myself. You can be the person who decides the best way to banish burnout is to reduce stress, and you can tear it up into lots of little tiny pieces if that makes you feel better, right? Or you can use it to start a fire because if sitting at flames, right, in a fire pit makes you feel better. Do whatever you want with it, but if you want to have it mailed to you as a reminder, feel free to drop your address on that and just hand it to me. I'll be here through lunch, so bright pink, one of the only women here, you'll probably be able to find me. All right, my last little slide here. This is my LinkedIn if you want to connect with me. I talk about this stuff all the time on LinkedIn. If your job is costing you your well-being, your mental health, your physical health, it's costing you sleep, it is costing you relationships, it is costing you time for fun, it is way too expensive. none of you get paid enough to lose all of these things because of your job. So find ways to kind of take a pause and do something. Make some changes, right? Make a little change. The little changes will feel big over time. And that is my burnout stuff. I think we have like 3 minutes for questions. If anyone, 2 minutes for questions. So does anybody have any questions for me? Yes.
How do you deal with the fact that How do you deal with the fact that so many people here, their work is actually their hobby, right? For me, like this is the dream come true, and I enjoy this. So I might get burned out, but I love this so much that that is a tricky thing for me. Yes, you know, I love my family dearly and doing extracurricular stuff, but this is for me my extracurricular stuff. So how do you deal with people in this industry specifically that's their real passion?
Yeah, I get that in a lot, because I do work with a lot of kind of startup companies, and this is their passion, right? One of the companies I worked for, they make nutritional shakes for people who are G-tube fed, right? Started by founders who their daughter was dying because of the chemically based nutrition shakes she had, right? A lot of the people I work with, this is their passion, the work that they're doing. But I think for me, a lot of it is teaching people that it can be your passion and it can be something you love, and you can still kind of step back and have some sort of balance, and that you're not putting all of this in. Just thinking of the toll that it's taking on you, right? I mean, the new life expectancy, right, keeps growing and growing and growing. My mom turns 80 on Friday, and when I was making a card for her, I was looking up like things that happened in 1943, right? In 1943, we were all expected to live to be 62, right? I'm 50, I'll be 53 on Friday. My mom and I share a birthday, right? But so I looked at my age expectancy. My age expectancy is 89. My kids' age expectancy, they're 19, is 106, right? So like our lives are getting longer. We got to take care of ourselves. So I think some of it is working with folks to figure out how can you do that? How can you do your passion, love it, and do all of these pieces, but still kind of carve out that time?
Most of us are going to have a similar situation. And if you're in a job where you're very stressed, but on top of that, you have that financial burden of, okay, you got to put your kids through college, and the economy is kind of bad, you may not have the option to like say, hey, this is too expensive for me. I need to leave this job. How do you deal with that balance of the economics of I cannot leave this job, but I am burnout?
Yeah, and I mean, what I'll say is there are lots of jobs out there. So if you are somebody who is motivated, you have a halfway decent personality, right? You can interact with other human beings, right? There are plenty of jobs out there for you. You know, now is it everybody? Like I joked when my husband was selling his company, like I was talking to him and his other business partners, and I'm like, you guys have no idea. Like you haven't worked for anybody in like 30 years, right? Like they've owned this MSP for so long, and I was like, can you work for someone? Like I was half joking, but in the back of my mind, I was like, I don't think any of these guys can work for another human being, right? They're not used to that. And they all figured it out, right? Like you can do it if you want to. And I think there is that financial piece, and it's also figuring out the balance of that, right? You know, I think if you're going though 100 miles an hour and you're burning yourself out so bad, these have medical implications, right? If you've hit yourself to that sick point, doesn't matter how much money you have in the bank, right? And so I'm not saying take a job that's like $10,000 a year, right? Like don't go work at McDonald's, but you know, there are other possibilities out there. But I will put the caveat, do not sell your business when your kids are juniors or seniors in high school. Totally impact your financial aid. But yeah, thank you everybody. Oh, yep, I got the red note that my time is done, but happy to chat with folks after.